السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعزائي الطلبة، رحب بكم في الفيديو الأول الخاص ب chapter 3. Chapter, chapter 3 is about how to make human resource management strategic, which means that we need to have some alignment between what we have in terms of HR management strategies with business and competitive strategies. So in the next slide, we will try to focus on the objectives of this chapter. Okay, so after reading this chapter, after discussing the main concepts in this chapter, we expect you to describe the strategy formulation process. So the focus of this chapter in its first slides is on the process of strategy formulation, meaning that we need to look at the steps or activities involved in the strategy formulation process. And then describe the two very famous generic competitive business strategies that organizations use, mainly the cost leadership strategy and differentiation or innovation strategy. So, and then explain the universalistic and contingency approaches to human resource strategy, including key characteristics of the commitment strategy. So, as we discussed in the previous chapters, we have different approaches to developing human resource strategy. So, one famous approach, as we will discuss in this chapter, is the universalistic approach. And contingency or fit approach is also very famous, and we have also the commitment strategy. So we will discuss these things. Okay, we also expect you to understand the four human resource management strategies that we will introduce. And these strategies actually are very important, and they are very connected to the business or competitive strategies. And then they also recognize the orientation, HR orientation inside the organization. And then we will try to explain how human resource strategies and competitive business strategies are to be aligned. يعني باللغة العربية لتسهيل بعض المفاهيم، هذا الفصل يتحدث عن كيفية بناء الاستراتيجيات في الموارد البشرية وما علاقة الاستراتيجيات في الموارد البشرية باستراتيجيات المنافسة أو استراتيجيات الأعمال الشهيرة، واللي أبرزها بيتم التركيز عليها الآن في هذا الفصل اللي هي استراتيجية الكوست ليدرشيب أو استراتيجية اللي هو قيادة التكلفة، بمعنى إنه تقليل النفقات وبالتالي المنافسة في السوق بأسعار أقل من الكومبيتيتورز أو المنافسين. والاستراتيجية الثانية طبعا الديفرنشيشن أو الانوفيشن، إنه أقدم منتج أو خدمة فريدة في السوق مش موجودة عند المنافسين. بعد هيك طبعا في هذا الفصل سيتم التطرق لأربع استراتيجيات في الموارد البشرية، وهذه الاستراتيجيات طبعا بتراعي توجهات الشركة نحو تطوير الأعمال أو توجهاتها التنافسية، بالإضافة إلى موقف الشركة من التعيينات والتوظيف في الموارد البشرية، بمعنى هل تهتم الشركة بتعيين الأشخاص لديها بقصد استبقائهم على المدى البعيد، أم فقط الاستعانة بهم لأداء بعض المهام داخل الشركة ومن ثم الانقطاع أو يعني إنهاء التعاقدات. حنحاول في نهاية الفصل طبعا اللي هو ننظر إلى القضايا اللي بتقربنا لعملية الألاينمنت أو عملية المواءمة ما بين البيزنس استراتيجيز والهيومن ريسورس مانجمنت استراتيجيز. Okay, so this slide tries to answer the question, what is a strategy? Simply to define a strategy. So we can look at strategy as a set of coordinated choices and actions. So which means that organizations need to actually look at their strategic directions, look at the opportunities and the threats in the external environment, as we will discuss in other slides. They want to identify the different choices and then take the suitable decisions for the competition, for example, or for the expansion of their operations in other markets or whatever they want to do on the long run. And then after that, they need also to take some actions to make sure that these strategies or these choices are in place. So, this chapter actually looks at uh, business strategies or as two distinct strategies. The first one, or sorry, we need just to focus on human resource from a human resource management perspectives. We have two types of strategies. The first one is the competitive business strategy, and the second one is the human resource strategy. So competitive business strategy focuses on choices and actions about how to serve the needs of customers, while a human resource strategy focuses on choices and actions concerning the management of people within the organization. So this is what we have, managing people as part of our resources, managing people in the right way through a coordinated set of um, human resource strategies and practices in order to support the competitive business strategy or the competition of the organization. So make sure that your human resources are suitable to serve the needs of your customers. Said differently. Well, this slide actually looks at the strategy formulation process. So it tries to list the different steps that we need to follow in order to develop our strategy. Actually, it looks at the process from three major steps. The first step is to gather information and make sure to gather information on the key perspectives, key organizations, key stakeholders. You need actually to look at this information in two different environments. We need to look at the external environment and try to identify um, threats and opportunities in the external environment, and we need also to look at the internal environment and try to understand the weaknesses and strengths. And also we need to consider the role of human resources as key resource that is valuable, that is very important to the development of organization. And then after the first step, after gathering enough information, we need to analyze information and make decisions. So which means that people need to gather together and and start the discussion process. So with keeping in mind that they need to reach better thoughts, better understanding, better insight, a deeper analysis of the information they collected in the previous step. So in this step two, we encourage some kind of conflict, which means that we have We encourage different point of views from different people who have different expertise, different backgrounds, different social life, and so on. We also need to try to minimize the effect of politics and try to sustain a culture of cooperation among people who discuss the strategy formulation process and try to make important decisions. So after that, we need to take actions. We need to implement the decisions. So in step 3, we will try to implement the decisions through taking actions and make specific plans for actions. We try to assign specific areas of responsibility and hold people accountable for the results. And we will try to develop some procedures to measure success in carrying out decisions. يعني باختصار هذه السلايد تعبر عن عملية بناء الاستراتيجية. بناء الاستراتيجية ينقسم لثلاث خطوات أساسية. الخطوة الأولى هي تهتم بجمع المعلومات. جمع المعلومات يعني جمعها عن الكومبيتيتورز، عن الكاستمرز، عن التغيرات البيئية، التغيرات الاقتصادية وهكذا. فزي يعني ما انتم عارفين، حتى يعني لو لاحظنا تأثير المرض اللي انتشر على البزنس في أنحاء العالم كان تأثير سلبي للغاية، وكثير من الأسواق والمؤشرات الخاصة بأسواق المال تدهورت بسبب تغيرات بيئية صحية انعكست على الأعمال بشكل سلبي. وبعد هيك طبعا نحتاج في الخطوة الثانية إلى تحليل هذه المعلومات عن طريق اللي هو عقد لقاءات للمعنيين بالتطوير في داخل المؤسسة لفرق العمل. وفي هذه المرحلة نشجع اللي هو وجهات النظر المختلفة، لأنه نعتقد أن الناس لا تفكر بنفس الأسلوب، وربما يعني بعض الناس يأتي بأشياء أفضل مما هو موجود ومما يساهم في تطور الشركة بشكل أفضل. الخطوة الثالثة طبعا اللي هو تنفيذ القرارات اللي تم اتخاذها في الخطوة الثانية، عبر يعني بناء خطط ذات علاقة، عبر تحديد المسؤوليات لكل شخص أو لكل مجموعة أشخاص عن التنفيذ، عبر تطوير بعض الإجراءات لاختبار النجاح أو لمعرفة مستويات النجاح فيما بعد. So this slide is very simple. It just lists what we have discussed in the previous slide. So when we look at the internal and external environment and try to collect information, we need to focus on strengths and weaknesses which are associated to the internal environment, and on opportunities and threats which are part of the external environment. Okay, so assessing the external environment helps us actually in identifying or determining what type of goods and services we need to provide or we intend to provide to customers. It will also guide our choices about whether to focus on lowering costs or providing goods with superior features. So the external environment will help us in identifying our strategic directions. So how are we going to compete? Are we going to compete based on cost and lower prices, or we are going to compete based on providing superior goods and services, or providing products that has superior functionalities and superior features? So the analysis of the external environment also helps us in understanding broad changes outside the organization, which affects our selection of a human resources strategy as well. It also helps us in getting real information about the changes in demographics and the changes in culture, and try to predict the availability of human resources and talents for our future work and the future purposes. So, external environment is very important, and it helps us from different aspects. Okay, so analyzing the internal capabilities or the internal environment actually helps us in identifying the resources and capabilities our organization have. So resources and capabilities are very important in order to know our strengths and weaknesses. So we will rely on these strengths, for example. We will rely on what we have in terms of resources and capabilities in order to choose our strategy for competition. So human resource practices can represent a critical internal strength for organizations. So this is one of the examples that we can through which we can clarify the importance of assessing the internal capabilities. So, for example, ability to attract and keep high quality employees will actually help the organization to be more capable and then to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. While the lack of effective human resource management can represent a major weakness. So, gathering information about human resource capabilities is therefore a vital part of an effective assessment of organizational strengths and weaknesses. خلينا نقول إنه آخر شريحتين آخر تو سلايدز يعني تحدثوا عن أهمية تحليل البيئة الخارجية وتحليل البيئة الداخلية. البيئة الخارجية وتحليلها بيساعدنا على فهم المتغيرات المرتبطة بأدائنا للأعمال، تساعدنا على فهم الانعكاسات الناتجة عن هذه المتغيرات على الفرص اللي ممكن أن تكون متاحة أو المخاطر اللي ممكن تتهدد وجودنا في السوق. بينما تحديد العناصر البيئة الداخلية يقودنا إلى دراسة أو فهم نقاط القوة التي تتمتع بها المؤسسة اعتمادا على ما لديها من موارد وقدرات وإمكانات اللي في النهاية تستطيع من خلال المؤسسة تحقيق ميزة تنافسية مستدامة. فمثلا so the second step in the strategy formulation process was the taking important decisions related to the strategy formulation and related to the competition and related to the investment of resources and other issues as well. So the second step of strategy formulation was about the discussions and taking decisions. So we need to have some consensus among people. We need to have a collective intuition. So people are needed to sit together or meet together often, several times, in order to discuss more and more. We need also to have some kind of comfortable working climate, which help people to think freely and also to develop different thoughts and discuss different possibilities of decisions. And we need also to be tolerated with the conflict. It means that we expect people to have different opinions, different viewpoints, and so on. So we need to let people think freely. We need to listen to them, and we need also to recognize their their thoughts, their opinions, and give them the needed time to express their opinions and to discuss with them. And then we need to maintain appropriate pace, which means that we need to define a solvable problem that is important but not too big. So we need to discuss issues in small scale, which means that we need to divide the problem into sub-problems that are manageable, that are understandable to people, that are suitable for further discussion and analysis. And then we need also to diffuse politics, which means that we need to minimize the negative effects of politics and minimize the effect of groupthink and these and other things. Okay, this slide actually tries to identify and discuss the two very famous business strategies, namely the cost leadership strategy and the differentiation strategy. For the cost leadership, organizations seek to become low-cost producers. They try to reduce their cost, operations cost, for example, and based on significant reduction in the cost, they can compete better in the market through having lower prices than competitors. So their goal is to develop efficient production methods that enable them to sell at a lower price than competitors. So simply, this strategy plays too much with the supply chain strategies, in which we try to minimize the cost at different stages of the supply chain in order to compete based on prices. Next slide will talk about differentiation strategy. Okay, differentiation strategy actually is let me say, the other extreme of business strategies. So, which means that organizations actually compete based on superior products or superior product functionalities. They try to provide the market, to provide customers with something new, something innovative, something that they pay more for it or in order to get it. So organizations using this strategy seek to produce goods and services that are somehow superior to the goods and services provided by competitors. So they compete based on superiority of products and services. So their goal is to create unique value for which customers are willing to pay a higher price. So they actually get premium prices for new innovations, for products that are very innovative. يعني في السلايدين هدول طبعا السلايد الموجودة أمامنا واللي قبلها بتتحدث عن أشهر استراتيجيتين موجودين في المنافسة اللي هم استراتيجية قيادة التكلفة أو تقليل النفقات بمعنى المنافسة بأسعار أقل في السوق، والاستراتيجية الثانية اللي هي استراتيجية الابتكار أو الانوفيشن أو التمايز، بمعنى أن الشركة تعرض منتجات وخدمات أفضل من سلع وخدمات أفضل من الكومبيتيتورز، وبالتالي تستطيع أن تحصل على أسعار أكثر أو أعلى في السوق، وبالتالي تحقق أو تدخل المنافسة من هذا الجانب، من جانب التميز في المنتج وليس من جانب تقليل التكاليف.